Okay. Okay, well, hello everybody. Thank you all for being here. My name is Natalie Hardy. I am one of 3 IRB analysts here at Research Support Services. We are all very excited for our upcoming move from InfoEd to iRIS, which is a cloud-based system that enables online application processing and real-time submission tracking. It also functions as a document repository, providing users with easy access to their submission records and their study documents. Our new platform has so many amazing new features and is known to the research community for being intuitive and very user-friendly. But we know that platform changes can feel overwhelming and daunting, so I'm here today to make sure that everybody is prepared to move over to iRIS as seamlessly as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to start off with my PowerPoint presentation. Can everybody see this okay? Okay. So today, my main goals are to get you all familiarized with our new system, instill some confidence for when you submit your first submission. We are going to point out some new and improved features that iRIS has that InfoEd did not. And I want to reiterate important upcoming dates, including the last day of submission in InfoEd, our conversion period, and our iRIS Go live date. So we want you to walk away from this webinar today with a better understanding of iRIS operations and the important dates relating to the platform rollout for IRB users. Those are our big points for today. So our agenda is as follows. First, I will give you all a general overview of our new platform with a brief introduction of the iRIS features. Then we will move through a human subject research application. I'll walk you through the new application and the submission and post-submission processes. And then we will respond to stipulations from the IRB. It is a completely different process than responding to them in InfoEd and much more straightforward. And we will submit an amendment against one of our studies. So I'll show you how to do those main functions. And finally, at the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A. Because this is a bigger group, I kindly ask that you hold your questions until we get to that point. Okay, I'm going to switch over to iRIS. Nope. I did not make that switch very seamlessly. My apologies. Okay, so this is what the iRIS homepage looks like. When you log in for the first time, you will use your SDSU single sign-on credentials. So that is just your email, your sdsu.edu email with your password. So for those of you who have InfoEd accounts, you also have iRIS accounts. Our team has been working for about a year now, moving all of your currently approved or exempt studies from InfoEd into iRIS. So when you log into iRIS for the first time, you will see all of your studies in there. Again, these are studies that have been given an exempt determination or an approval. We've migrated them over there for you. So when you log into iRIS for the first time, please make sure that your studies and your study documents are all up to date. So again, you all have access to iRIS at this point. You're able to log in using your SDSU single sign-on credentials. For the sake of this webinar, I'm going to be operating in our test environment. This is something that only we have access to. And so I'm going to go ahead and log in here. Oh, no, I'm not. Something about iRIS is that if you have multiple windows open and you try to log into it in those multiple windows, it will stop you from doing that. So just keep that in mind. Oh, sorry about this, you guys. Oh my goodness. Okay. There we go. So this is what the iRIS login page looks like. When you log in for the first time, the Study Assistant tutorial list will pop up. So this is a very handy-dandy tutorial list. You got your Protocol Assistant UI overview. So this gives you a general overview of the system. So that's actually what I'm going to be doing right now. But when you log in for the first time, if you've forgotten everything that I've shared, you are able to click on this and it will walk you through the entire system. It also shows you how to start a new application, where to find latest approved versions of your documents, approval letters, and how to start a new submission form. So again, this will pop up when you log in for the first time. When you start getting the hang of the system, you can check this box and it will no longer pop up when you log in, but I encourage you to keep it popping up when you log in. It will point you in the right direction if you're feeling stuck. You can also access it by going back up to the top right hand of the screen. This will just pull the tutorial section back up. This is also where you can go to find some helpful help links. So when I click on this help button right here, I'll get a pop-up window. So I'm going to make this a tab and bring it back down for you all to see. So something about iRIS that is fantastic for those of you who submit to the IBC and IACUC is that now you will submit to the IRB in the same place. So iRIS houses IBC, IACUC, and IRB. It's all in one place now. When you click on the help link, you have access to our biosafety resources and website. You have access to our IACUC policies and guidelines, IACUC website, and any and all IRB resources. So we do have our HRPP guidance page that contains all of these helpful links, but oftentimes we point people in this direction and they're not really sure where to go. When you click on the help button in iRIS, you can be taken straight to all of these various translation or various policies, Bill of Rights, template language. It's all in this area. Over here we have on the right hand side, we have general iRIS resources. So our iMedRIS help page. iMedRIS is the parent company essentially of iRIS, so you will see those terms used somewhat interchangeably, but they're the same thing. We also have our iRIS handbook and adding, removing personnel. You'll find that there are many different ways to get to the same area in the system, and so this help button is a great place to go if you're feeling stuck, or say you have a graduate student who's submitting for the first time. Point them in the direction of the help button links and the tutorial area. So before I bring you down into the system, I want to point out one more thing over here in the My Profile section. So like I mentioned, this is the test environment, so I have created a fake profile. My name is not John Smith, but this is the profile that I'm using. So to show you the My Account features in real time, I'm going to actually log into my personal profile in iRIS. So this is the production environment. And I'm going to bring us over to my profile, and I'm going to click on My Account right here. So when you log into iRIS for the first time, your account is going to contain your last name, your first name, and your SDSU email address. What's different about iRIS as compared to InfoEd is that you are able to add new email addresses. So say you don't really want the system notifications to go to your SDSU email, you can add a new email address. I've added a fake one right here, and you can send system notifications to that email address if you would prefer. Something else we have over here is the city training documents. This is one of the coolest features about iRIS that I know everybody is going to absolutely love when we roll it out, is the fact that your city training documents are now going to be directly associated with your iRIS account. So given that you registered for city using your sdsu.edu email, those city training documents will automatically be associated with your iRIS account. So you're able to find those by clicking over here on the far left-hand side under Training History. So I'm able to see that my city training courses have been completed, my HSR course and my IPS course. I can see when I completed it, and I can see when they're expiring. So again, if you have registered for city using your sdsu.edu email address, your city training documents will be associated with your account when you log in. If you find that you log in and your city training documents are not located here under Training History, you can log into City and you can pull your City user ID from the City website and populate it in here, and that will trigger the certificates to be associated with your account. This is something that I had to do. I was a graduate student when I registered for City, and so my email address was different, and so when I created an account in iRIS, I needed to manually input my City user ID, but now my training documents are associated with this account. So that's something to keep in mind. You will no longer need to request PDFs of everybody's city training certificates to upload them in the system. They will all be automatically associated with your account. So I'm going to go ahead and bring us back to the home screen. There are two ways that you can do this. You can either click up here on the far left-hand side, click on the SDSU button, or you can click on this back button. So I'm going to hit the home screen over here, and I'm going to bring us back to the test environment. So we're back as John Smith. And now I'm going to show you the entire iRIS homepage. So we're going to start up here on the left-hand side. These are our featured study operations. So these are fairly straightforward. This is where you would go to create a new study, start a submission form from one of your studies, say an amendment, continuing review, the like. You can view current approvals, submission histories for your studies, and just view and manage your studies overall. Now, as we scroll down, you'll see that the first panel that pops up is the study assistant. This is the find the study area, so this is exactly what it sounds like. Here's where you would go to find a study. So we have a lot of PIs who have submitted to the IBC, IACUC, and IRB, And so a lot of you have quite a few studies in the system. So if you wanted to find something that you submitted to the IACUC, you can display projects by their IACUC number, you can display them by their IRB number, their IBC. You can search for studies by the principal investigator of the study, by the department, and you can also input a range of dates to see if you have any studies that have an expiration coming up. We also have some advanced find options. I'm going to pull back to the IRB because that's what I'm familiar with. So with the advanced find, you are able to search for studies by their faculty advisor, co-PI, co-investigator, even research staff. You can also search for studies by drugs associated with the study, devices, or any study keywords. So again, this is very helpful for people who have a ton of studies or who are listed on a study as a key personnel. This is a very quick way to be able to locate those studies. So bringing us back to the home screen, I'm going to actually scroll down this task area because I think it makes more sense to show you where to find your studies first before I show you how to complete tasks. So in this area, this is our studies that are in progress. So the third panel, again, we got 1, 2, 3. The third panel is going to show you any studies that are currently in progress. So what that means is they have not been given an exempt determination or a final approval. These are studies that you have submitted to the IRB that are either pending or that have been returned to you by the IRB with changes requested. So for example, I'm going to show you my pigs in a blanket study. This is my 4th study listed down here. I am the forum author, and this was submitted on July 25th. Okay, that was kind of some time ago, so I wonder why the IRB has not yet reviewed it. I'm going to go ahead and click under this Actions tab to expand more details about this study. So once you do that, you see this little life cycle chart you got going on right here. I can see that my pigs in a blanket study is in pre-review. So what that means is that I've submitted it to the IRB, but they have yet to assign an analyst or send it back to me with changes requested. So when I scroll down here, this is where my study is in the pre-submission route. So again, it starts in pre-submission and it goes into pre-review. Over here are some timestamps. So this is when my initial review submission packet, so that is the packet that contains my application and my consent forms, my surveys. So all my supporting documents that are associated with my application is the packet. This is a term we will return to multiple times. I can see when it was created. I can see when I signed off as a principal investigator, 1:16 p.m., so it took me 1 minute to do that. And down here, I'll point this out because, again, this is a fake profile. John Smith does not have any city training certificates. So I did receive this warning message, this error message. I'm not up to date with the training records. If you have anybody on your study who is not up to date with their city training documents, you will get this message. You'll still be able to submit, but we'll see the message as well, and you will not get your final approval determination until those city training documents have been completed, or until the city training has been completed. So as you can see, this is what happened through pre-submission. I'm going to close this up and I'm going to open up IRB. So here I can see the IRB received the submission at 1:16 p.m. It has been 19 days, 22 hours, and 58 minutes since I submitted to the IRB. So they need to get going on that. So I'm going to show you this study up here. You'll see that there are some incomplete tasks, and so I'm going to open up these steps to complete them. This is my test study that I did on our webinar on the 6th of August. When I open up these steps, you can see that the life cycle looks a little bit different than my pigs in a blanket study. Changes have been requested, so I'm going to open up pre-submission. It looks very similar to the pigs in a blanket pre-submission area. But when I open up the IRB area, you can see when the IRB received the submission, when an action of return for corrections was assigned, when they gave it to the analyst, Natalie Hardy, and when they returned the submission for corrections. So you'll see all these timestamps of when your study was submitted, when it was received, and when it was assigned a return for corrections designation. So this is really helpful because a lot of times us analysts or Justin will receive emails from PIs saying, hey, where's my study? I'm not sure if it's been reviewed. And we say, oh, we have it. We're going to be reviewing it soon. This way you can just go into the system and check on your study and see what's going on. So something else I want to point out in this area is the fact that you are able to see the outcome letters that have been sent to you in the in progress area. So as you can see, this has been assigned a return for corrections status. So when I click here on the outcome letter, I can see that a modifications required letter was sent to me on the 14th at 9:07 a.m. Right here, I can click on the letter. It will open as a pop-up window. And I can see the modifications that have been sent to me. So we will also send this directly to your email. So it will be very similar to the process as we did in InfoEd. You'll get the modifications required letter in your email, but it will also be associated directly with the study that you need to make edits to. Okay, so I'm going to close this back up. Now we're going to scroll all the way down to the All Studies area. So this is the final panel in the home page of iRIS. This shows you all the studies that you are listed on as a principal investigator or that you are listed on as a key study personnel. So you'll see right here, there's a study submitted by Sally Jo Jones. That's the PI of the study. Obviously, it's not me, so I am listed as a key study personnel. So anything you're listed on or anything that you have submitted yourself will be in this area. You will also be able to see any studies that you have submitted to the IACUC or IBC in this area. As you'll see, I've only submitted Study C IRB, so in the review board area, you can just see IRB. But what I really like about this area is the fact that now everything is color-coded. So no more sad, gray, InfoEd. We've got some fun colors going on over here. We see that our exempt studies are green, our approved studies are green. Anything that's pending or been returned for correction is going to be orange or purple. And over here on the far right-hand side, we have a fair amount of actions that you can take with each study. So we're going to start off with my biomedical study and click on the applications folder. So you may be thinking, wait, applications plural? Yes. So my biomedical study, when I click on the applications tab, I see, okay, IRB initial application version 1.1. So when you submit an application for the very first time and any study documents that are associated with that application, it will be automatically given a version number of 1.0. So any subsequent changes you make to that application will automatically update the version number. So when you see version 1.1 or version 1.2, you'll know automatically that that application has been edited. And so how you can see the past versions of this application, you go over here, far left-hand side to the Show Revisions folder. You click on Open Revisions, and you'll be able to see how many times the application has been edited. So like I said, version 1.1 is right here. It was not approved, so you can infer that it was sent to the IRB returned it back to me. I made a modification that changed it to version 1.1, which was subsequently approved. I can see the approval date of this study. I can see when it was last modified. It was by me. So if you are a PI and you have, say, a study coordinator working on your study, you'll be able to see in this area when they edited it, who it was edited by. And over here, when you select both of these versions, you can compare them by clicking over here, Compare to Selected Versions. It will emerge as a pop-up window, and you'll be able to see side by side, here's version 1.0, here's version 1.1. You'll be able to see the sections of the application that were edited, and it'll be highlighted over on the right-hand side. It's the most recently edited application. So this is just how you compare previous versions of your application. Okay, I'm going to bring us back down to the All Studies area to finish showing you these functions. So in the Documents tab, we are going to go over to my expedited study. The documents library includes all documents that have been submitted with your application. So your surveys, your consent forms, your flyers, anything that's been approved by the IRB. So when I click on this, I can see that I have, this is a test study, so I submitted a flyer and it was approved. I can see the category of the document. I can see the document outcome. I can see the approval date. Over here, I can see the stamped file. So previously, we sent you all via InfoEd your approval letters and your stamped documents. You'll be able to find these in iRIS directly associated with each of your studies. So I'm going to click on the stamped file. It will emerge as a pop-up window. You'll see my flyer here has been stamped. The stamp looks a little bit different in here, but it's essentially the same thing. Got my IRB number and I got my approval date. So in the documents area is a great way to go to find all of the documents that are associated with your study and anything that's been approved by the IRB and that has been given a stamp. Okay, so next I'm going to click on the Forms button. This is just where you would go to find any forms that have been submitted against one of your studies. So these are amendments, continuing reviews, reportable events. When I click here, I am able to start a new submission. So if I wanted to submit an amendment against one of my studies, I could go here. Or I could scroll back up to the top of the screen and go to my featured study operations and start a submission form for one of my studies here. It looks very similar to the All Studies area. It's actually the exact same thing. But I would just select the study here, and it would bring me to all of the forms that are available for me to submit. So I can start a new amendment form here. Like I mentioned, there are many different ways in iRIS to get to the same place. And we really like that about our new platform, because you can sort of navigate it however you please. So what might work for you might not work for someone else, but you can get to the same place in multiple different ways. The next action I'll show you is the hide button. So this is just, you can use this if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to use it. This will just hide studies from this area. If you don't want to see them, you can go back up here and show any and all hidden studies. It'll bring back up the studies that you've previously hidden. The withdraw button is to be used for studies that have been submitted to the IRB or that have been returned for corrections. So when you withdraw a study, you are withdrawing it from review. We can no longer review it once you have withdrawn it. So you'll see over here that my potato chips and chocolate study was withdrawn by me. I'm still able to access the study dashboard and open up my study application, see whether any versions have been updated. So I can still access the study and any study correspondence, the submissions history, but it has been withdrawn from review. So only do this if you seriously need to withdraw a study. You can also delete studies that are in the draft mode. So if you start a study and you're like, I actually don't want to finish it, you can delete it. Deleting and withdrawing are different. And again, if you withdraw a study, it will no longer be considered for review. If you do that on accident, which if you try to do it, it will give you a warning message. It's not reversible, will result in this change of study status to withdrawn. If you accidentally do that, you can, and you didn't mean to, you can go ahead and copy that study. So this is the next function I wanted to point out. You're able to copy studies if, say, a lot of our PIs will conduct studies and then want to conduct a similar one, but won't want to copy and paste the entire application. You can copy the entire study, and it will contain the application and all study documents that have been submitted with that. So that's a cool new feature that InfoEd did not have. Okay, so lastly, I will show you the correspondence area. We're going to click on my social behavioral study. So the correspondence area will show you any correspondence that has been sent to you by an analyst or that has been an automatic system notification. So you'll see over here, I have a few different messages. I've got a modifications required message, and I've got a notice of exempt assignment. When it's from an administrator, that means it came straight from the system. When it's from an analyst who you know, it's from an analyst. What you can also do here that is a little new, that is different from InfoEd, is that you can send correspondence to your study team. So anybody that is listed on your study as a key study personnel can be sent a message from the system. It will go to their email, but the way that you do this is you click on recipients. You'll see the principal investigator of the study, any co-PIs, study contacts. So there are 3 people working on this study. If I wanted to send them a message about the study, I could do that. And all of that correspondence will be contained within the study area. So instead of having to go to your SDSU email inbox and rifling through that, seeing when you emailed your study coordinator, when you emailed your co-PI, it will all be contained in one area associated with each of your studies in iRIS. So that is a great new feature that we know that a lot of people are going to get some good use out of. Okay, so now that I've shown you where to find all your studies and the various actions that you can take with each one, I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the screen to the tasks area. So I know I said we would come back to this. So right here, you'll see that there has been a submission correction assigned to me by the IRB. You'll see the task description over here. The IRB has returned the submission for corrections. And then right over here is a priority area. So you are able to set the task level of each task that you receive. For example, if I set my task to low priority and it's low priority, so I don't need to complete it till like the 31st of August, cool. If this is something that I need to complete sooner rather than later, I'm going to make sure that it's a high priority task, needs to be completed by Saturday. I point this out because once you set a task to high priority, it will automatically populate up here in your by the numbers and tasks area. So this by the numbers box is very straightforward. It's exactly what it sounds like. You'll see that I have 4 submissions in process. I got 2 forms pending submission, 1 thing pending my response, and now I have a high priority task that I set myself. So if I were to change this back down to low, then it would disappear from this area. But this is a great new feature for those of you who maybe have study coordinators working on your studies for you. If you have a list of like 5 tasks and you want them to complete one sooner than the other, you can list the priority levels for them to go in and see what they need to complete first. Okay, so now that I've shown you all the front login page, we're going to go in and create a new study together. Our new application is much more intuitive and straightforward than our InfoEd application, and I'm so excited to show everybody. Okay, so here's our new application. The first section asks you to enter the full title of your study, so we're going to call this test study with today's date. Down here at the bottom, the system will ask you to enter a study alias that you would like to use to reference a study. So this is just essentially an abbreviated version of your study title. You can abbreviate it if you want. You can put in the full title if that's not your thing. But this is just a good at-a-glance feature that you can use if you have a ton of studies or studies with similar names. It's really up to you how you want to use this part. Okay. So this section will ask me to list any departments that are associated with this study. I'm going to list my alma mater, sociology department, hit save, and I'm going to be working with a PI from the School of Exercise and Nutritional Sciences. So I'm going to search for that department here and add it to my application. So because I am the PI of this study, I'm going to indicate that my department is the primary department associated with the study, and I'm going to hit save and continue to next section. Okay, so here is where you assign key study personnel access to your study. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click here to set up study personnel. So something that you'll notice is that no principal investigator has yet to be added, even though I, John Smith, have created this protocol. I'm not automatically made the PI of the study. So for those of you who have study coordinators who may be creating an application for you, attaching supporting documents, they will be able to add you as the PI of the study. Because you are the PI, you will be the ultimate person to sign off on the study at the end of it, but your study coordinator will be able to go in there, add you as the PI, and finish the application and supporting documents for you. So this is how I'm going to add myself in the Setup Study Personnel area. I'm going to search by my last name. Here I am right here. I'm the PI of the study. I'm going to hit save. So when you are adding people to your study, there are going to be 2 databases that you can pull your people from. The first one is the iRIS database. So anybody that had an InfoEd account is automatically in the iRIS database. If they are not, search for them in the LDAP directory. If you can't find them there, then they will need to create an account with iRIS, but please try searching for them in both of these databases before you ask them to create a new account. Okay, so I've added myself as the PI. I'm the only person on the study, so I'm going to hit save and continue to the next section. This will ask about review reliance agreements. I'm going to say no. My study is not funded, but if it was, if I hit yes, then you'll see that questions will pop up depending on what you answer to each question as we move through the application. So here is our classic human subject research questionnaire. This is identical to the questionnaire in the InfoEd application, but we've added some new features. So as you move through the application for the first time, and just as you continue submitting applications, you'll see on the far right-hand side some question marks. So these are little helpful links that we've inserted to provide a little bit more context. When you click on them, you will get to see some more information that we've included. So this question was, what are some common examples of projects that do not fall under IRB review? When you click on this, it will take you out to this pop-up window that will give you some more examples about what may not require IRB review. We've also inserted some definitions. When you see some text that is in green color or that has been highlighted, you can hover over that text to get some definitions that, this is helpful for graduate students and for people who are submitting for the first time. A lot of these words, people are not sure what generalizable knowledge means sometimes, which is okay. And so we want to provide some more information in an effort to provide education as well. So I'm going to answer yes to these questions so that we can move forward. And one thing that I want to point out is that if you do not fill out a section or if you forget to answer a question and try to move forward, actually it didn't work that one time, which is strange, but so I'll show you in this area. So here's the identifiers table. I'm going to indicate that I am going to be accessing and recording names, and I'm going to hit email addresses as well. So if I try to hit save and continue to the next section, it's going to stop me because I did not make a selection in one of the areas. So right here it says the selection is required from the above choices. Okay, I'm going to be accessing these email addresses and recording them. So now I'm going to move forward. This section asks about review type. This is a new section that we've included in the application in an effort to educate, because we know that a lot of people are not sure what exempt means, or expedited, or full board for that matter. And so we have provided a little bit more information to educate everybody and give everyone kind of an idea of how us analysts assign review types for each human subjects research application that comes through. So when you click on these question marks, again, you'll get these pop-up windows that will give you a little bit more information about whether studies will be expedited, exempt, or require full committee review. So I'm going to say my study is exempt, and we're going to move forward. Here in the investigator experience section, I'm going to add myself. I'm the PI, and I'm going to just indicate my experience here. What you'll notice about this area that's a little bit different from the InfoEd application is that we now only ask for investigator experience of our PIs, co-PIs, co-investigators, faculty advisors, and translators or interpreters. So if you have any documents that will be translated or interpreted into a foreign language, you will need to name that person or the service and describe their experience and expertise for translating or interpreting these documents. So that is something new that we will require you to describe. We will no longer ask for the experience of, say, the various graduate students working on your protocol or undergraduate students. It's just these guys now. Okay, so I'm going to say no to conflict of interest and we'll move forward. Okay. So this is the background and significance section. It is similar to the InfoEd application, but what is different now is that we have unlimited text boxes. So we got a lot of submissions in where people would submit supporting documents saying, I didn't have enough space in the application. Here you are able to write to your heart's content. I'm going to copy and paste a generic paragraph in here so I can show you some other features about this area. So you are able to now bold your text, italicize, underline. You can change the font if you'd like. You can change the font size. You can highlight some areas if you'd like, change the font color. So this is you can do whatever you want in here. You can also include hyperlinks or images if you feel that it will help us understand what you're describing. So this is just a very expansive area. And again, the text limit, there's no text limit anymore. So that is one of the greatest things about this area. Okay, so as we move through this, I'm just going to insert test in these areas. This is our research design and methods. It's essentially the same as our InfoEd application, but we now only ask you to describe any risks and your risk management procedures once. So previously we asked you to do that multiple times. Now it's just once. Here is where we ask you to list all the measures that are used in the study. So surveys, interviews, that kind of thing. I'm going to be using a survey. I'm going to say that this is publicly available and peer approved. We've also included some prompts down here. So right here, you'll see that we've asked you to upload these measures into the packet at the end of the application. A lot of times we have PIs who say they're going to be using a survey or an interview guide, and then they don't upload that measure. And so we have to send it back to them and ask them to upload it. So we're hoping that this will cause people to upload them at the end of the application. So you'll see some of those newer prompts as you move through this application. Okay, in the study population section, you'll see that it looks pretty much the same as the InfoEd application. We're going to say that we're recruiting 100 adults and 50 children. But I want you to take note of the instructions. So you will need to indicate using the checkboxes whether you plan on recruiting members of a vulnerable population. If you won't be, then you will need to select general participant to continue. So this is something that's a little bit new. You will need to indicate what kinds of participants you'll be recruiting. When you scroll down, you'll see that the total has not been populated automatically. So in order to populate this total, you will need to save the section. So I'm going to go over here and hit save. And now you'll see that the total study population has been automatically populated into this area. So that's something that's a little bit different. Down here, you will be asked to list the criteria, the inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. When you open this up, it will be a text box, sort of like the background and significance areas. It will be unlimited, but it's up to you whether you want to describe in paragraph form your inclusion criteria or if you want to do line items. So what I mean by that is when I save my criteria info, it will populate as a line item. So if I wanted to add something else, I could do it that way. Or if I wanted to just do paragraph form, I could have a paragraph. It's up to you how you want to do that. Okay, and here is how I would indicate that I will be recruiting participants and screening them. I'm going to be reaching out via email and by using a flyer. Down here, you'll see a prompt that asks you to upload a copy of any recruitment language that will be used. And I'm going to be screening online. Okay, here we ask you to select the level of risk that you believe will be posed to your participants. So this is very similar to our previous application. The informed consent section has been bolstered quite a bit. So we have included our informed consent templates here. So when I click on this link, it will bring you to our SharePoint site and it will contain all of our consent templates here. So instead of us having to link out to them in a response to you, they will be linked right here. Over here, we have some more information about some terms that are not super familiar to people who are not IRB analysts. So we have some more information about requests for waiver of documentation, when informed consent can be waived, some information about broad consent. That's a question that we get often is what is broad consent? So we've provided quite a few resources over here. And we've also included some form logic for these waivers of documentation and alterations of informed consent. So for example, if I were to click this one, I would be required to choose the criteria under which I'm requesting the waiver. So we're hoping that this will give everybody a little bit more information and some more context about what you will need to, what the criteria that you need to request a waiver of documentation. So I'm just going to hit comprehensive written for this study. My consents will not be translated into a foreign language, but if they were, then I would select that language and attest that there wouldn't be any deviation from our translation of informed consents policy, etc. Okay, I'm going to hit documentation of assent because I am recruiting children and save and continue. Okay, research setting, also very similar and straightforward to our InfoEd application. Here I'm going to add a row. What's new is that we ask you to define whether you will be recruiting physically in a physical location or conducting your research in a physical location, as well as online or virtual. So if you're doing Zoom interviews, we do want you to indicate that here in this section. I will not be traveling to a foreign country, so I'm going to hit no and move forward. Over here in payments/incentives to participants, we have added some more information about nonprofit raffles, incentives that are more than $600, some more information about lotteries and drawings. Sometimes we get PIs who want to hold a drawing or a lottery as a form of an incentive, and they will need to adhere to the California code regarding lotteries, so we've linked that here. You will also need to describe how it will be conducted. So we've just bolstered this area a little bit more. I'm not going to be providing an incentive, so once I click none, those boxes close out. Okay, data management area, this is essentially identical to the InfoEd application, so I'm just going to move forward through this. Okay, so now that I've completed the application, the system has transitioned to the initial review submission packet. Remember that term that I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation? That is a term that we will all be super familiar with. This is going to contain, again, your application and any and all supporting documents that you've uploaded for this study. So here, you'll get to see your study title, the PI, looks great. I'm going to hit save and continue to the next section. Here, it will show the application that we just went through together. So if you find that you forgot to add something in the application, you are able to go back and edit it from here. And so say I wanted to, I don't know, add a new identifier, I could do that here. And so when I mentioned earlier about using the back button, as you'll see, there isn't really a way to like get forward here and get back to the packet that we were just located at. So what you're going to do is you're going to embrace the back button and make it your best friend. When you click back, it's just going to bring you right back to where you were. You'll use the back button often throughout the system, and so I don't want anyone to be afraid of it. I know it can seem counterintuitive to go back, but you're just returning to from whence you came. So when I hit save and continue to the next section, I will be asked to attach all my required consent forms. So I'm going to do that by clicking add a new consent. So we have a couple different options here. You can add an informed consent from an existing electronic document that you already have, or you can add an informed consent from the list of informed consent templates. So again, that was our list that I showed you, our SharePoint. I actually still have it pulled up right here. So you can do that. I have made my consent form, so I'm going to click and drop it over here. I'm going to give it a title. I'm going to indicate that it is a comprehensive written consent form and hit save. Okay, so now my consent form is updated, or I'm sorry, uploaded. I'm able to view it to make sure that that's the consent form that I uploaded. Great, looks awesome. Now I'm going to hit save and continue to the next section. Okay, so this section 4.0 will now ask you to upload any and all supporting documents you have for your study that are not consent forms. So this is going to be your recruitment language, your measures, any applicable documentation received by the researcher originating from foreign interests. This may not apply to most of you, but this is where you're going to attach everything. So I'm going to attach my survey here, because I'm going to be using a survey. I'm going to title it survey. This is very similar to what we just did with our consent form. And then I'm going to be using email to recruit, and I'm going to be using a flyer. So in the area where I attach my recruitment language, I'm going to hit add multiple documents so I don't have to do this one by one. So I'm going to add my flyer here and my recruitment document here. So here is where I would title my documents. And right here, it will ask you to input a version number. So as you'll recall, the version number 1.1 is the very first version of your application and study documents. So I'm going to make sure that all my supporting documents have the same version number here. Under category, I'm going to indicate this is a flyer, and my email recruitment form is going to be recruitment materials. And hit save. Okay. So now that all of my study documents have been uploaded and are attached in the attachments area, I'm going to hit save and continue to the next section. Section 4.0, this is where some additional training groups might appear that are not applicable to your protocol. So if you have submitted to the ICOOC or IBC before, these are where some training groups may pop up that don't necessarily apply to your IRB training. So we're going to go ahead and move forward through this. Now I get a message, the form has been completed, and I'm going to hit sign off and submit. So now I'll be directed to the sign off screen. Okay, so here's the submission routing sign off screen. I see all of the documents that I have just uploaded with my application. I'm able to open them here, view the document here, etc. I also can create a PDF packet with all of my documents and the application. So you'll see over here, I have the option to create a PDF packet. And how you do this is you go over here and you select everything that you want to be compiled into a PDF, and then you just hit create PDF packet. Sometimes this is very useful for PIs who want to keep all of their documents in one place associated with each of their studies. So this is great to keep everything in one place for your records. You can also use this button up here to select all, but say you only want your consent form in your application. You can just click those and hit create PDF packet. Okay, so I'm the principal investigator and I'm going to approve this submission, and I'm going to hit save sign off to route it through the workflow and get it to the IRB analysts. So now I'm brought back to the home screen automatically, and I can see in my in progress area that the study that we just created and submitted has been submitted to the IRB. It is in pre-review status. And here are the timestamps of everything that we just did. And the IRB has received the submission that has been confirmed. So that is how you create and submit a new application. The last couple things that we are going to do is walk through some stipulations that have been sent to me by the IRB. So as you'll recall, you are able to access those in a couple different ways. So you can go to your task area. This will take you directly to the submission correction. Or you can go to your study submission status, your in progress area, where you can see I have some incomplete tasks to complete. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I'll see that changes have been requested of me. Down here, I'm able to complete the correction by clicking here. It will take me to the correction form, or again, I can go by the task. So we're going to go by the task area. I'm going to click to open the submission correction. So here is the pre-review correction form. So like I mentioned, you will get a modifications required letter created by an analyst. It will go to your email, and it will also be located within your study in iRIS. But when you go to make these corrections, you will be automatically directed to this pre-review correction form that will ask you to address the stipulations that have been sent to you in the system. So when I scroll down, you'll see that I have stipulation 1 out of 2. Okay, I have 2 stipulations to address. What is this? I need to submit my survey for review. Okay, I didn't submit my survey when I sent my study off for review. You'll see that this is a stipulation that must be addressed. Down here, you'll see the action status has not yet been completed. So what I'm going to do is find the action, add document. Okay, I've been asked to submit my survey, so I'm going to add that here by clicking here. And I'm going to upload a new document that is not on the list. Here are the documents that have already been uploaded with my study. So because they asked me to submit my survey, I'm going to do that right here. Hit save. And now my survey has been uploaded. The action has been complete because I've uploaded a document. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to indicate that I accept the stipulation by clicking yes. Here in the text box, I will be asked to provide an explanation on how I address the stipulation. So I will say, survey has been uploaded. Great. So now I'm going to scroll down to the second stipulation. Here's the description of the stipulation, which is to add video and voice recordings to the PHI table. Okay, cool. So I need to get to my application, right? So how do I do that? So down here, you'll find the action not complete area. This is the component name. So we have associated each component with each stipulation that we request of you. So what that means is that when we ask you to do something on the application, you don't have to exit out of this form and go find the application and find the section that we've asked you to edit. We've linked it for you. So this is the section that you're going to need to edit. And this is the question that we are asking you to change your answer to. So I'm going to go straight to that area by clicking under the action area. I'm going to click Revise Existing. This will ask me to confirm that I want to create a revision to the application. I'm going to hit Confirm. And now it'll bring me to the application. You'll see that a new version number has been updated. This is now version 1.1. I have been asked to add video and voice recordings to the PHI table. Great. This is super straightforward. Again, we will link the component to each stipulation we request of you. So all you have to do is click and you'll be taken directly to the application. So I'm going to do what the IRB has asked me to do and add video and voice recordings to this table. And I'm going to hit Save Section. And now I can't go forward. So what do? I go back. So again, we're embracing the back button. This is going to bring us right back to our pre-review correction form. I'm going to scroll back down. And over here, you'll see that the action not complete. It's still red. That's okay. You just need to go over here and hit Complete Action to turn that green. And now you'll see that the application has been updated. So version 1.1 from version 1.0. You can also compare the application versions in this area to make sure that the edits you just made were correct. I'm going to scroll down, indicate that I accept the stipulation, and I'm going to say application has been revised in the area where I provide an explanation. Okay, now I'm going to hit Save to save my work and move forward to the new section. So once I've addressed all these stipulations in the pre-review correction form, I go through a very similar sign-off page. I'm going to hit Sign Up and Submit. And this will now ask me to provide my electronic signature by clicking Approve. And so you'll be able to see in this area the things that you have edited. So I edited my application, so it's been changed to version 1.1. You'll also see up here that there are various rounds that your submission may have gone through. So because this is the first time my submission has come back to me, this is round 2. So if I go back to round 1, then I'll get to see all of the forms that were submitted with that when I first submitted my application. You'll see the application is version 1.0, but when I bring us back to round 2, you'll see that the application is back at version 1.1. So if for whatever reason you need to see old versions of your application or the forms that you had originally submitted, you can go back to the previous round to see those original documents. Okay, I'm going to hit my Save Sign Off right here and route my submission back to the IRB. Once I do this, I am brought back to the home screen and my submission is now back in the pre-review status and it has been sent to the IRB. So that is how you respond to stipulations from the IRB. The last thing we're going to do is we are going to create an amendment against one of our studies. So like I mentioned earlier, there are a couple different ways to do this. You can start a submission form up here, or you can scroll all the way down to the page, to the bottom of the page to your All Studies area, and you can create a form here. So I'm going to do it in this area. I'm going to click on my social behavioral study. We're going to hit Forms, and we're going to start a new amendment form. So I'm going to hit Start a New Submission, and we are going to walk through this form. Okay, so section 2.0 asks for the date. It'll show you the IRB number, the name of the principal investigator, project title. You can input another study contact if you would like. And what's new about our amendment form here is that we ask you for the study status. So this is helpful for us to know where you are, whether your study's active but you haven't enrolled yet, whether you're active for enrollment, enrolling, etc. It's also helpful for you as you continue to submit amendments for any given study. You'll be able to see, how far you've progressed. So I'm going to say that I'm active for enrollment and I have been enrolling. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing in my amendment is I'm going to be changing the incentive and I'm going to increase the number of participants. So this change down here, I will be asked whether it is going to affect procedures, costs, or risks to the participants. Because I'm changing my incentive, that does affect procedure and needs to be updated on my consent form. Participants need to know how much or the incentive amount that they're going to be receiving. So when I click yes, it will prompt me to revise the informed consent form or any assent forms if I'm going to be recruiting children, and the initial application. Okay, great. So I'm going to hit save and continue to the next section. Here I'm just going to say increasing incentive and study population. You'll also note that you will need to include the rationale for the change. If you do not include this rationale, we will request modifications for your amendment. I don't really have a strong rationale here, so I'm just going to say that for the purpose of this webinar, and we're going to hit save and continue. So here it will ask you to make your protocol/application changes directly in the attached application below. So you'll see that no application has been associated with submissions. I'm going to click here and attach my application that I want to edit for this amendment. So I'm going to hit select and save the attachment. And now I'm going to hit edit because I need to edit the application. Again, I'm changing my incentive and I'm increasing the study population. So once I click edit, I am taken to the application. I am going to go over to the study population section, which this is something I forgot to point out when I was going through the whole application, and now you can see that I've been doing it. You're able to move through each section of the application, so rather than scrolling up and down throughout our long info application, you can just click on the sections that you need to navigate to and it will take you straight there. So that is something new. I apologize, forgot to mention that. You can also, over here, see the entire view of the application if you would prefer to scroll. Say you forgot where something was located, you're not sure what section it was in, you can scroll through the whole application by clicking entire view of application here. So I'm glad I remembered to point that out right now. Okay, so where was I? I was increasing the study population. We're going to recruit 15 adults. I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to go to payment/incentives. I'm going to give everybody $500. Now I'm going to hit save. So now I'm done. I've made the edits to the application that I needed to make. And what am I going to do? I'm going to hit back. And it's going to bring me back to the amendment form. So now I needed to update my consent form because I'm changing the incentive. So I'm going to add a new document here. These are the documents that have been already uploaded with my submission. So you can see there's no consent form for me to edit. So I'm going to upload a new document. This is going to be my new consent form. Going to attach it here. And I'm going to hit other because for some reason there is no consent form category right here. But that may just be because it's the test environment. Okay, so now my form has been completed. I'm going to hit sign off and submit. Here are all the components of my submission. I'm going to select approve and I'm going to hit save sign off. Okay, so now my amendment form has been submitted to the IRB. It is in my in progress area. It is in pre-review. I'm able to retract it if I want to make some changes, but it's been sent off to the IRB and soon an analyst will be assigned to review. So that is how you submit a form against one of your studies. I'm going to switch back to my PowerPoint. Okay, can everybody see my PowerPoint? No? Okay, let me just do that real quick. Okay, so thank you all for your attention. I know that was a lot of information. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, everybody has access to iRIS, so I encourage you all to... Sorry? I'm sorry, did someone say something? Okay, so I encourage you all to log into iRIS, make sure that all of your study documents are up to date. We have been migrating all the studies that have been given an exempt or an approved determination in InfoEd to iRIS. So at this point, it is on you to log in to make sure that all those study documents are up to date with each of your studies that have been migrated over. So I want to point out some important dates that we have relating to our rollout. So these are all posted on our website, so you feel free to write them down. I will also be emailing everybody a follow-up email containing these dates. August 15th, which is tomorrow, is the deadline to submit all active InfoEd application and forms by midnight to ensure a timely review and a smooth transition of all current records from InfoEd to iRIS. So tomorrow at midnight is going to be the deadline to submit anything new and any forms that you have for any of your studies. September 1st, InfoEd will be deactivated. Again, protocol data for existing studies in InfoEd will be migrated to iRIS for you. But after September 1st, no further investigator access can be granted in InfoEd. So between September 1st and October 1st, we will be undergoing a conversion period where we will be moving all the rest of your studies from InfoEd to iRIS for you, and we will be processing all of the studies that we've moved over during this month. On October 1st, 2024, iRIS will go live as the new and improved protocol management system for all SDSU IRB protocols. Now, from September 1st to October 1st, you will be able to access iRIS to draft new submissions, but they will not be processed until after October 1st. So for those of you, if you have, say, an adverse event or an unanticipated problem, we understand that, and you understand as well, that those must be submitted to the IRB as soon as possible. So if that does occur, please reach out to an analyst so that we can walk you through that process. But again, from September 1st to October 1, these submissions can be drafted in iRIS, but they will not be processed until after October 1st. So now I would like to open it up to any questions that anybody has. Thank you again all for your attention. Again, I know this is a lot of information, but any questions, please feel free to ask. My team and I are here to answer.
I have a question. I just want to confirm that I understand. So I'm working on a study that we are going to need to do an amendment regarding recruitment and have some new recruitment materials approved. It sounds like unless we have those ready by tomorrow, we're going to have to wait until October 1st. Is that right?
Correct.
So there's just nothing happening for 6 weeks. Nothing can be approved.
Essentially. So
Yeah.
I advise
Okay.
you get that into InfoEd as soon as possible.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to modify that statement that nothing will be approved. Actually, what will be occurring after August 15th, it's everything that's still in progress is going to be approved, which is a very busy job too.
Thanks, Pat.
I'm sorry for that because yes, I honor what you do. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, well, if nobody else has any questions, I'd like to thank you all again for coming today. I will be sending a follow-up email to everybody who has registered today, again with these dates and some helpful links to our website. And yes, I encourage you to pass along the word to your friends and faculty here. We are going to have, looking up at my schedule, we have 6 more webinars that will be going on through September. So spread the word. And if there are no other questions, thank you all for coming. If you find that you have another question, feel free to email me or email any of us. But thank you all for your time. We appreciate it.